Hello, hello, and welcome to this fortnight's episode of Dodge, Parry, and Roll, your fortnightly independent Australian. I had to write this down because I've forgotten already. Independent live and existential crisis show. I am your host for today, Joshua LaRosa, joined by Vinnie. Vinnie, hello. It's been a month, 3 episodes in, and we already missed a fortnight.
Yeah, that's just the way it rolls. But you know, it's been a month, and what a month it's been. It's been my birthday month, and
Important.
I was
Yep.
yes, very important, and I was really feeling my age because I was sick as a dog.
Yes.
Um,
Vinny sent me an audio message. He's like, "Hey, boss, I don't think I could do the show." And I'm like, "Lay off the cigarettes, Vinny."
yeah, it was really bad. That is the worst I've sounded for sure.
Yeah,
Like
that
I
was
had,
rough.
yeah, I had tonsillitis, so I get tonsillitis a lot, but that is by far the worst I've ever had it.
My
Yeah.
time to get sick is coming. It happens like once a year, and I'm due for it.
Yeah.
Part of me is kind of looking forward to it because I can just lock myself away. But it's coming. I'm due. Like I've had this conversation at work because people are just dropping
Oh yeah.
like flies. So we're in Australia. It's the middle of winter. You might know Australia from such famous stories as the Mushroom Killer and Death Stranding 2. But yeah, everyone's dropping like flies. And I've just been like, what about me? Like, can I not have a week off? Like,
Your immune system is too strong. You just it's the have you seen that old Simpsons skit where it's like Bart Simpson being like trying to get sick and it's like we're trying to let the virus win. It must
yeah,
be a stool get.
I
Must be
can't.
school
Like,
day.
kids are coughing on me, nothing. And I don't have a great immune system, I would say. I have a decently good. Like, when I get sick, I go down, and it's like 3 days. I've got my PlayStation 90 gown that comes out. The tissue box comes out, and then there's 3 days of, like, sweating and just... I sneeze when I'm sick,
Oh,
which is
you're all congested and nasally.
and that's only been a recent thing. I'd say maybe like in the last 5 years, every time I get the flu or a cold or whatever, I sneeze. And it is so much worse than coughing because it's like sneeze, sneeze, sneeze. And by the end of the day, you're like, my rib cage is about to burst out of my chest. Like, it's so painful. But here's me wishing for it. So,
Nah, mine was all congested and all up here, and I couldn't talk, and then I just couldn't breathe either. I'm like, you know what I miss? Breathing. And I did the thing where I really took for granted breathing out of both nostrils.
oh my God, it's funny how every time you get sick, you have this like inner dialogue, like to just breathe. It's like the first
Yeah.
time you breathe again after being sick, and you're like, oh my goodness. Yeah.
That's what I wanted.
Yeah.
I took 3 weeks off gym. And this is the worst. This is the worst thing about me when I get sick. And I'm not sure if it goes the same for anyone else, any one of our one listeners out there. But when I feel like shit, I eat like shit.
Yeah.
So I should be eating this stuff, the healthy stuff, to fuel my body to make me get better faster.
Yeah. Such is life.
Logically, makes sense. What do? I eat Tim Tams. I eat mint slices.
Mint
I eat-
slices.
Oh,
Mint slices.
are you not a?
It's 34
it's
or 89. Like, what's...
the mint slices are the junior mints.
Mint doesn't
Of the biscuit
belong
world.
anywhere near a biscuit or any dessert. I am sorry. I love mint in a salad. I love a mint salad. But get that crap away
mint
from chocolate.
salad. A mint salad.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
No, I'm done with you.
Yeah. I just had I don't know if that came through my mic. My PC just made a weird noise. Yeah. I mint cucumber, kind of like a summery. No, it's a
What
game
about
changer.
after dinner mint?
I love it
after
after
dinner
dinner mint.
chocolate?
I go down like the mint, like the strong Mentos like minties. Love it. Fine. Not a dessert, nor is it related to chocolate. It's a mint. It's for a breath. You know what I mean? It doesn't belong.
Agree to disagree. I think chocolate and mint go together like peanut butter and jelly.
No, agree to
It is such a
disagree.
good combo.
Well, speaking of guilty pleasures, that might be a great segue. What? So, okay, so when you're sick, it's probably a good bouncing point. Like, what? Okay, what are your guilty pleasures in life? Food,
Ooh.
drinks, video games, movies, TV shows. Like, what do you go to just be numb?
My guilty pleasure. This is different from comfort. Yeah, we're talking like comfort food and comfort. Like guilty pleasure for a TV show. I'll watch. I don't want to say trashy reality TV, but maybe I'll like throw the Jersey Shore on.
Oof, I don't think I've ever watched
Yeah,
Jersey Shore.
yeah. I think you'd actually enjoy it
Yeah,
because it's so trashy and bad.
yeah.
But there's a difference between trash and comfort. So we just gotta.
But sometimes trash is comfort.
Trash is comfort. Yes, I agree. Do you have a trashy show of sorts? Because I can tell you comfort for sure. I can talk comfort for days, but like I want to know some trash from you.
I don't think I consume trash. I don't have time for trash. I don't ever, like, you know, when you just put something on, it's not really me. I'm always kind of either purposely watching or listening to something, so I don't really do that. But comfort-wise, this is getting into the psyche of Josh LaRosa here, but I love not many people, as I tell people, I watch podcasts more than I listen to them, which is
Yeah, insane.
insane. But I like to watch. I'm a viewer. I watch.
Okay.
And one of my favorite things to do, and I actually told this to my wife last week, because I'm like, I know this isn't great for me. I love, you can see, you probably can see, I've got a bottle of old fashioned. No, the old fashioned's not there, but I do have old fashioned in the ingredients for old fashioned in the front room. And then
Like
I
a
think
whiskey?
that's Gentleman Jack. I love, like, just getting on the couch, my very expensive recliner electric couch, and watch a podcast, particularly video game podcasts,
Of course.
and just not go nuts, but I casually will put down like 3 or 4 whiskeys, and by the end of it, I'm just like watching people talk about layoffs or something. Like, it's just that is a pleasure that I like every once in a while. Like, I'm talking 6 months, like just randomly. I'm like, you know what? I'm just in a mood where
yeah.
I was gonna watch this anyway. I also feel like a drink. I don't drink often, really. I'm just gonna knock back 3 or 4 on a Friday night, and then regret it the next day. That's where the food comes in, because I am a big crinkle cut plain chips type of guy with whiskey. Those two just
yeah.
it's
The
a
saltiness really helps. It elevates it.
it helps the dehydration. By the end of it, I'm basically
really does.
a salt lick. So that is definitely up there. But besides that, like, if I was to say video games, I think there was a time where I could do that, where there wasn't so much to play, so I would go back and play, like, I don't know, Darksiders, something like cheesy that I've played through a million times that I just can just blaze through. For some reason, I really like that game. The first one in particular. Seinfeld is always there. That's really it. I think I'm pretty like always next thing, what's new, what's exciting type of guy. But then there is times where it's just like currently I'm just in a Digimon craze, and I'm watching the 2020 reboot of Adventure, and yeah, that's giving me like, although I am watching this for the first time, is in a world with characters that I know from my childhood, and that's giving me like very much, pleasure,
A lot of
vibes.
nostalgia, a lot of comfort.
Yeah, a lot of comfort, and I'm also hyped for that Digimon game, man. Like, that is probably my most out of like nowhere. I came across, it was from the PlayStation State of Play when I watched it, and I'm like, oh, this actually looks pretty cool. It's like, I was getting into the mood for RPGs, and I'm like, the Pokemon games, I'm like, I'm kind of excited for the new one, but I'm not quite as excited. It's the game that I want, but like the monkey paw version of it. It's like, it's the game, but it's like 10% of what it should be. And then I saw this, and I'm like, whoa, like, this seems like I haven't seen a Digimon game like this ever. And then it just got me in a bit of a rabbit hole. I'm like, I went back because I remember Cyber Sleuth and all that on Vita. I'm like, all right, this is a continuation of that. But this seems like a real first like glow up entry in the series. And then I messaged you, and I'm like, oh, I kind of feel like going back and watch it. And yeah, that's what I've got the 2020 series, the Try movies ready to go. And I'm just in a bit of a phase. Like, it's just casually on. Sometimes I skip past some parts of the episode just because, it is ultimately a children's show. But I'm enjoying it. But what about you? What do you have a lot of, I would say, like, guilty pleasure type stuff.
Oh, yeah, I'm a sucker for comfort. And not the sense that I don't step out of my comfort zone. There are things that I'll do and everything like that. But especially when I'm sick or I'm in a funk, I guess is the best way to call it. Not quite a rut, more of a funk.
Yeah.
A bit of a lull.
Yeah.
I will, one game for sure, I'll always just pick up would be Kingdom Hearts 1.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's the one where it's action RPG. It's like my favorite game of all time.
Really?
I know everything about it, so I can turn my brain off.
The first one?
Yeah, the first one.
Kingdom Hearts 1's your favorite game of all time. Interesting.
Look, it's when I think about it, if someone says your favorite game, I say Kingdom Hearts. I think Kingdom Hearts 2 is a better game, but Kingdom Hearts 1 is the one that started it all for me.
Yeah, exactly. You wouldn't have played 2. And 2 wouldn't have been as good as it was if you didn't play 1. Yeah, I totally get it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I have a weird top 10 list of obscurity. Mine is, the rules of my top 10 are, one game per franchise.
Yep.
Yeah, all that yada, yada, yada.
We should do an episode on that down the track. I think that'd be great.
Should.
Yep.
But for that, I'll play that. But for a show that I watch, I like a good cartoon. Like, I rewatched Legend of Korra recently. I alternate between Last Airbender and Legend of Korra, going back and forth, depending on how I'm feeling. Because I'm keen for the new
There's a
Avatar
new
movie.
Avatar. Is it a movie? Okay.
They're doing a movie and they're doing a new show.
Are they connected? Is the movie like based off the show or the previous shows?
Movies based off the Last Airbender crew. So Aang, Zuko,
animated
Katara,
or
Sokka.
live action?
Animated.
Okay.
Cartoon.
Yeah.
And then
But we can't say animated.
But it's I feel like animated 2D animation. You know what I mean? The CGI is ruining this world. But and then the next TV show is going to be based on the next Avatar.
And that's the one where it's a
Earthbender.
Earthbender. Okay.
Yeah. So keen for that.
Yeah, I liked The Last Airbender. I think I watched it when it originally came out. I think I've then since watched it one more time, and I've seen Legend of Korra, I think maybe 80% through. I enjoyed it for what I was watching.
Korra is fantastic. Korra is a lot more action-based, so if you like, and a little bit more mature. But I think the original is better.
Yeah, I agree. The only thing it does that I hate, not because it's bad, but because it's like it kills my perception of these characters, is when the old characters are old. Do you hate that? Like,
yeah.
It just makes you feel weird inside when you like see the characters that you grew up with that were kids, and it's like all of a sudden they're in their 50s and 60s or whatever, all dead. You're like, oh.
You see that with like some of our older shows like Power Rangers and stuff, where they come back and like old Rangers return, and you're like,
yeah. And you're like, there's no way you're squeezing into that spandex. But we'll actually talk about Power Rangers later because that's our central topic. But given it has been about a month or so, what's been going on? What have you been playing? Anything exciting? Anything new you want to talk about?
I mean, Hades 2 got a new update. That's the last big update before the game actually comes out. I'm playing it early access on PC. Phenomenal. The game's completely changed. They've added new stuff. They had these things, extreme measures for people who played the original, where it's the bosses. It makes the boss battles harder.
Okay.
So there's like additional phases to the bosses that they added in.
Yep.
I've yet to beat, certain bosses, but the game's changed now, and I love it. But like I said, man, I've been sick, so I haven't really had the time. I've definitely had the time. I haven't had the energy to do anything. So, which is really hard, and that's when I find it really hard to play a new game.
Yeah, because you got to commit yourself into that.
yeah, it's a lot of brain power, like paying attention,
Mm.
learning the game.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, I've just played a lot of Hades. No League though. No League of Legends for this guy.
No League of Legends. Anything? Is there anything newish that's come out that you're wanting to play, or you kind of happy
I
just
mean,
bouncing?
I'm kind of happy bouncing for now. I
Mm.
mean, I'll be bouncing up and down the overworld when I play Donkey Kong Bonanza when that comes out in like a week.
10 days, yeah.
Yeah, and
That looks
I'm
great.
playing Mario Kart World with the boys. That's it.
What? Yeah. Now that a bit of time's passed, what are your thoughts on Mario Kart World?
Okay, I have some qualms with Mario Kart World.
Not a big fan of that word, I must admit. Qualm.
Qualms, qualms.
It sounds. Yeah, I don't know. Keep
Yeah,
going.
I
I'm
have
gonna go
some.
Google the origins of that word just for context.
It's probably like a Persian thing, I think. Anyway, my issue with Mario Kart World, the there's too many people on the fucking track, man. There is too many people on the track. 24 people is too much. The congestion is real in that game. Uh, they took out full card customization, which I was kind of upset about. I kind of wish you had the option of stock cars plus a little bit of customization for changing parts.
Mm.
Uh, the recovery of the items is too fast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but there's two. My main core, like, I think the tracks are awesome. I think the gameplay is fantastic. I do like the way it feels. I enjoy the way it plays, but there are just too many people on the damn track.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah, I agree. I think
have you,
I
have you
haven't
played it?
played a lot of it. I got the bundle, so it was always there, and it's always great to have. I
Yeah, of
kind of
course. You can never go wrong with Mario
yeah,
Kart.
and I kind of think about the day when Nathan's that little bit older and he can start playing games with me. So it's good to always have. But from the few hours that I've spent with the game, I think the open world nature of the game was a bit of a missed opportunity in the sense that I've come across like challenges and things like that, but I thought it'd be like I thought they were really tying this in with the idea of like a theme park, because the game kind of presents the world as a bit of a theme park, right? Like you've got these different
Yeah.
zones that are very different right next to each other, and I felt that that was a missed opportunity. I also think that, for better or worse, the gameplay is more open and more free, which I think probably entices like those. How do I explain it? It's like I felt like with Mario Kart 8, you could really get good at these levels, where World seems to be more breakable in the sense that I don't know. I've seen people do like these, and 8 was like that too, where you could do some like weird things and jump off and do all these different things. But this just seems like it takes that to the next level, and it's like I've seen people like bouncing off walls and like just insane. And
Yeah, there's a higher skill ceiling, and
yeah,
there's also a lot of creativity to the game now.
yeah, but it's also very crowded. Like the
Yeah,
the feeling of being first and then all of a sudden being 14th in the matter of like 10
2 seconds,
seconds is
not even.
yeah, yeah. So, but yeah, it's interesting. My Switch 2 is kind of sat there.
Yeah, it's
I've
funny. Like,
go.
I went to the midnight release, and I was like, "Huh, there it is."
Yeah, I actually
Just
heard
sitting there.
someone say on a podcast, like, I think we're done. Like, I don't think we're going to get, even with the next Xbox, whatever that ends up being, and PS6, I don't think we're going to have that really anymore. Because what? PS6 will come out, and most likely we'll just have cross-gen games. Like, even more
Yeah,
than PS5 had with 4. You might have one, maybe, game only for PS6, but I think it's no longer like you pick up your PS3 and you get MotorStorm and whatever and Resistance, and like you can't play that on PS2. It's that time's gone, and yeah. So I think Switch 2 was probably because we didn't feel it with PS5 and Xbox because we're in COVID, so
yeah,
you had to pick up your kind of console in a weird way, and like the doors are all closed and you grab your ticket and you go in. Where Switch was like the first console release post COVID in this more modern kind of iterative generation where it's just kind of smaller upgrades. So, yeah, interesting to see. Qualm comes from the Old English word queem, which means pain.
Oh yeah, I definitely had pains with Mario Kart World for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I see that. For me, I'm just trying to think because obviously it's been about a month. So we finished. Yes, we had our Expedition 33 spoiler cast. So if you haven't listened to that or watched it more specifically on YouTube, 2 parts. Check that out on our YouTube feed. I probably should say if you're watching, subscribe. Do us a favor. Help a brother out. All right, help us out. So post that, I actually went back and started playing all the content post-launch for Astro Bot. So I had finished
nice.
Astro Bot, had it platinum, bar the final challenge mission that for some reason was giving me trouble, and I never went back to do it. So caught up on everything, collected all the bots, finished that time challenge. Great to be back, and I think we're actually on. I think coming up in July, I think we're getting another Astro Bot update, which is probably likely the one where we will see Final Fantasy characters in. I believe there's another update coming in July. So it was great to kind of just jump back in and, see all this stuff they added post-launch, all the time challenges, the new missions, and see all the new bots and do things like that. Then Jeff Keighley's Summer Games Fest happened, and the shadow drop of Liza P. Overture happened. Have you played Liza P?
I have. I'm not good. I'm not good at that game. It's the. So good. I know. Yeah, I know it's good. I'm just so bad at it. It's the parrying mechanic. I'm just not good enough with those frames, man. I'm just not good.
It's funny how I've just become. I was explaining this to my uncle because he doesn't play Souls games, right? Those styles of games. I'm like, I get it, but it's becoming too hard to ignore. Like, it's just every second game is either a Souls inspired or at least has that kind of sensibility about it. Like First Berserker Kazan earlier this year. And that was one that I found particularly hard, and they actually patched it more recently where what was deemed the normal mode was renamed to hard, and easy became the new normal because easy was difficult and normal was really hard. So it was funny because I was playing it through on normal. I'm like, I'm really struggling on the later 70, post 70% of the game's completion on these bosses, like more than usual. And I dropped it to easy on the last 20% of the game. And even I found that not difficult, but like not easy. As in, if someone was going in and put it on easy, this isn't easy for those people. So I was kind of somewhere in between easy and normal, I think, in my skill.
Yeah.
But they patched it. So I'm like, I don't feel as bad for dropping it on the final boss that had 3 health bars to finish it. So, yeah, Liza P. Overture, Shadow dropped at Jeff Keighley's show, and I love Liza P. Liza P is probably my favorite of the genre, I think.
Okay.
To be fair, I haven't played the Dark Souls games, which is funny. So I've only done Demon Souls into Elden Ring, into Liza P, into First Berserker Kazan, if you can count that, Lords of the Fallen. Did I say Elden Ring? Not the DLC for Elden Ring. So I'm missing the Dark Souls trilogy, and Bloodborne, which is probably the one that everyone raves about. But I'm like, they got to be remaking that at some point, surely, Sony.
Yeah,
I'm waiting.
Surely. And like, you're the Sony boy. Surprised you haven't played Bloodborne.
2015 was a different time. I wouldn't have not been. Elden Ring. Yeah, Elden Ring and the Demon Souls remake was my gateway in. I mean, it's like PS5 exclusive is probably still probably one of the most graphically pretty games on PS5. And I was like, all right, fine. And I finished it, didn't love it, but kind of got the point of it. And then Elden Ring, I just like went balls deep, and I'm like, well, I'm just going to push and push and push. And then I overcame it and then enjoyed it. But Liza P. Overture, awesome. I don't know think it was like another 10 hours. It was a 10-hour standalone DLC. You did need to own the first game and be up to at least chapter 8, I believe. And it's a prequel. It's more Liza P, but again, Liza P is just excellent. Like it's got the gameplay nailed and had it nailed in the base game, but I also think that the storytelling and the premise and the story itself of like this twisted Pinocchio world, and you've got these characters that you recognize like Jiminy and the Geppetto and things like that, but
and all that stuff.
It's dark and twisted. And Vinny, I really think if you can, give it another crack, because I don't know, am I allowed to spoil the end? Maybe I shouldn't.
I know what happens.
The twist of the original base game, like the post credit, like it's awesome. Yeah. So I won't spoil it, but yeah, if you can, I think Liza P is probably, I think most people would agree it's the best Souls-like that isn't made from Software. And I would actually argue it's probably in the top 3, including From Software games.
From Software.
But yeah, so into from Astro Bot into Liza P, and now I'm playing through Death Stranding 2 on the beach, and I'm about 12 hours in to that, and we'll have an episode, I think, at some point where we can talk a bit more about Death Stranding, because, man, it's been an amazing year. To go from Expedition 33 into Liza P into Death Stranding, incredible.
Yeah, we're only halfway through.
And we're only halfway through. And I very much think this year's a fight between Expedition and Death Stranding. I've gushed about Expedition 33 a lot, but Death Stranding is very, very good for different reasons. But I'll leave it at that.
It's Kojima.
It's Kojima, but it's where Expedition 33 feels like a reinvention of what a modern, like, graphically intense RPG could look like, with a really cool story and a really cool world. It's still, at its core, a game that is a turn-based RPG, in the sense that the template has been done for a long time. Not to discredit, like, you can go back and hear how much I love it. It's one of my favorite games of all time. I really do like love Expedition 33 that much, but I think where Death Stranding has that edge in terms of Game of the Year is because there is, beyond the first game, nothing like Death Stranding. And playing it now, post-COVID, like, the game talks about the whole idea of being isolated and people being disconnected, and you're going around connecting Australia, funny enough. And it's just coded in Kojima, like, storytelling and lore and the quirks that come with, Kojima gameplay. And I'm really enjoying it. It's definitely a battle between the two, I think, for Game of the Year. But we'll see. I think that's been pretty much everything I've been doing, just kind of working, playing games, just getting through the winter months.
This is hibernation season.
Yeah. Being back at gym last week, which was good. I've just been...
Yeah, my first day back was today.
Yeah, and I'm like, it feels good. Like, kind of got that, the muscle pain. Like, yeah, I've done something. That's good to feel. But if there's nothing else, should we step into our main course?
Main topic. Yeah.
Yes.
I do want to do a deep dive into, obviously, our main topic. It is pretty cool. Like, we are huge fans of this franchise, and we both know that we could run this franchise so much better than what any other studio or production company has done in the last 10 years, at least, minimum. So Josh came up with this great idea to talk about, and we spoke about this back in our Game Traders days. We spoke about how would we write a Power Rangers TV show, movie, anything.
I don't think we spoke about video games back then.
We never spoke about video games. So that's why I like this take. So Josh said, what do you think would be your perfect Power Rangers video game? What would be your developer? What studio you have run it? What kind of style would you have? Characters, era, title?
The name, the genre, the mechanics, the story, the cast, the developer.
And
Yeah.
and what kind of hook. What's your hook? So, Josh, you'll start. You'll take us into the first one.
I think we'll start with you because I think I've done enough talking for the.
Okay, you've done enough. Yep.
Yeah. So what I think we should do, I don't think we go back and forth. I think what we do is focus on one person at a time, and we'll build
Yeah.
out the
Our
game.
world.
So the way I kind of thought about it in my head, it's like, wouldn't it be fun to pitch it? Not kind of pitch it like I expect you to. Here's a presentation and sell it to me, but pitch in the sense of like, we're taking, this is the name, we're taking inspiration from these series, and this is the team we would get to make it, and these are the mechanics, and here's some of the characters, and here's some of the lore, and blah, 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 blah. You can go in as deep as you want, and then I think what would be fun is we can just expand on it too. Like, you might have a really cool idea, then it bounces, and a new idea comes from that. I think it's exciting because God knows no one else is doing this, okay?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so we're designing our dream Power Rangers game. So for all the kids of the 90s, this one's for you. You may remember there was a cancelled AAA Power Rangers game in development. I think there's artwork floating online about that. But yeah, take it away, Vinny.
All right. So my pitch is, it's going to sound pretty generic, but I thought it would always be something that would be really cool to do. Power Rangers game, Enter the Draken.
Ah.
So it is, I am a massive fan of the Boom Studios comic book series. Josh has also read the Boom Studios comic book series. I always thought it'd be a great idea to have this be some form of media that wasn't just on a comic book. Because the story is so amazing. It's got some rich history, some great characters. And how to say, it can sell because it's got the original MMPR title, which I feel like is the only thing that drives the franchise these days because everyone's just so set on the original.
So is it Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Enter the Draken? Is that the official name? Okay.
That is.
That's awesome.
I know, how good. So we're done. That's all you need to know.
Yeah.
So the story would take place, it would be the Shattered Grid arc, holistically. So, but it would start, the very first opening would be Green with Evil. Awesome.
So is it like a playable Green with Evil?
Playable Green with Evil. You play Green with Evil. You play the 5-part story of your Jason and the other Rangers. Jason, Zach, Tommy. Oh, sorry. Jason, Billy, Kimberly, and Trini.
Trini, yep.
Versing the Evil Green Ranger.
That's awesome.
So, and then you finally turn him to your side, and then you have a couple of missions in between until and that would be just the monsters of the week.
Can I ask what style of what's the game?
Okay, so
yeah.
So I was trying to think of a game that could really incorporate multiple characters at once and still be that kind of free flow enjoyment space. So I was kind of thinking that it would be developed by Bandai Namco. Bring it back to Bandai.
Bandai Namco. Okay.
Yeah. And generally because they're really good with that kind of sweet spot Japanese style of game. Because it is Super Sentai inspired.
So which team? Who are we talking making it?
The team is...
Or if you don't know the team, what game have they made? And maybe
Tales of Arise.
So the Tales guys. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I want that...
Wow. Okay. So JRPG.
So action RPG. Specifically.
Yeah.
But the type of game that has that flow motion.
Yeah.
How you can seamlessly like change between characters.
Yep, that's cool.
Whilst still in an open world. So that way you can still have your party of... you'd have 5, but I feel like sometimes some missions you break up into single, duo, triple.
Yeah, that's cool.
All the way up to teams of 5.
That's cool.
And
art style similar to the Tales of Arise kind of
comic book style.
Comic book style. Yep.
Yeah, the cell shaded for the Shattered Grid. So that kind of art style, but in the Tales of Arise gameplay.
Right. Okay.
So I'd want it to be that semi-linear partially open world, how it's kind of locked in that area.
Yeah, hub world.
Um,
Yep.
Hub world with a social link aspect for your. So, we're not going full Persona. I want like a metaphor level social link, a lot less, a lot more condensed, but a lot more rich. So obviously you play metaphor, you know, you don't need to go every single time the social link when you want to act. You don't have to see them 5 times to get a new point of the objective.
Yeah. But I say it,
So
like, go talk to Zordon and get counseling, and then you might unlock a... Yeah.
Or go talk to Bulk and Skull and go talk to Ernie's Juice Bar and have all these little hub worlds where you're kind of off duty. So you go to the Juice Bar, go to school.
Ah, that's cool. So you're kind of combining... So the Tales of Arise kind of combat system,
Yeah.
linear, hub-based, but with... So is there a time mechanic? Kind of like...
There would have to be a calendar of sorts,
Okay.
I feel. But that would only be for side missions when you're, allowed to do these dates. But there would be some monsters of the week. You go through the iconic ones, like, you have your pudgy pigs, you have your king sphinxes.
Yeah. What's
your eye guys?
The turtle with the traffic light?
Shell shock.
Shell shock. Yeah.
Yeah, you'd have those classic ones. But then you go from Green with Evil all the way up to the start of Shattered Grid, and you play out
the story of
the Shattered Grid arc, which is a long story. So, and because there's so many different parts, there's actually so many interchanging characters within the Shattered Grid era where you could swap out from Mighty Morphin. You'll get introduced into other series as well. Because you get the Shattered Grid, so you'll get some SBD, you'll get some Lost Galaxy, you get some In Space, favorite.
Yes.
And you can go around like that. And it wouldn't be you only playing as the original team. You could be playing as Lord Draken as well, who is the evil version of Tommy. So, and he could be the villain stealing the other powers from the Rangers. So that could be a mission in itself. So you're playing both parts.
So is it mission based?
Or for certain characters. So for him, you'd have to have a mission base. You'd have to steal other Rangers' powers.
Oh, so he's playable. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I want. I want him to be playable because you always want to be humanized because it is Tommy after all.
Yeah.
And then, but I do want like a level. I want a level system. I want a skill tree for your team. That's also what I want. So, which was play the Tales, the RPG style of games. My little hook though will be during the Megazord battles because you got to have them.
Yep, I was gonna ask. Yep.
First person.
Yep.
VR compatible.
Ah. PlayStation
So, like,
VR a hook, huh?
Yeah. Giving a little bit of a hook to them.
So kind of like the Doom. I don't know if you've seen the new Doom game. There's like mech fights in that where Doom guy gets into, and I believe that's in first person.
What are
you? Yeah, how are you seeing it?
Yeah, so your Megazord, your camera views at your chest, and you're fighting. Almost, I'm getting like Mike Tyson's Punch Out vibes for.
So kind of like a modern version of what was in the Power Rangers
Reader's
game.
Rewind.
Yeah, where it's kind of the cockpit view, kind of back and forth, but built out more modern AAA.
Yeah, way more modern AAA.
Okay.
You got some strafing, some dodging, first person fighter.
Yep.
Awesome. So, yeah, I mean, give me the funds and I'd make this game in a heartbeat. You reckon? What's Sandfall doing these days?
Well, that's the thing. I think, what are we talking? What's the budget? What consoles is this coming out on?
I want it on everything.
Yep.
I want it on everything. I want some online capabilities as well. From back, you could even do the Marvel's Avengers franchise because even though it didn't work too well, but when you were able to play as different characters and do your missions, online together.
Oh wow! So there's a lot going on.
Yeah, look, in ideal world, everything would be perfect
Yeah.
and it could be all these things together. But I would scrap that part because the always online part and the constant missions would be too much. But that's just a little. As I was writing this down, I'm like, oh yeah, that would be good. That would be fun. That'd be exciting to have. And I can see, as a game designer or a developer, I can see what happens if you spread yourself too thin, just from this little exercise that we've been given.
Yeah.
But yeah, if I had to keep it to the core, a little bit of social link system, action RPG, developed by Bandai Namco. They also do the Digimon games, and it's Bandai. Bandai
Yeah.
did Super Sentai, Power Rangers, like bring it back to them.
Yeah. It's crazy.
But yeah, at its core, it'd be action RPG with a social link system and just a story on Power Rangers: The Shattered Grid.
Awesome. That's really good. And if you had to, so the hook is
The hook would be the VR,
Yeah.
the first person
That's cool.
compatible with the VR sim to Megazord fights.
Awesome. Let us know in the comments if you do what your thoughts are. Would you buy this Power Rangers, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Enter the Dragon game? Developed by Bandai Namco. Published by Bandai Namco. On all platforms, but includes a VR compatible mode. Optional.
Optional.
That's really cool.
Option. Yeah, I kept running away with my ideas. I'm like, no, bring it back a little bit. Bring it back.
It's hard to do, right? Because
Yeah, it is.
you got to play the artiste, but also the critic, and also the player of games, and be like, would I buy this? What would this be perceived like? And it's funny how we both kind of took different paths.
Okay.
Is there anything you wanted to finish up on before?
No, so I guess the one thing I really wanted to do, I wanted to feel with Power Rangers as a game is I wanted to feel like you're playing as a team.
Yeah.
Because that's the whole, like, teamwork is the whole thing about Power Rangers. And they go through multiple shows and multiple episodes of the shows where they say, like, you can't do this alone.
Yeah.
So that's why I wanted the Tails mechanic where you can swap between characters and do synchronized attacks and level up together and swap in and out party members, because it should really be that sense of teamwork where I feel like an action RPG is the sweet spot for that.
Yeah, I agree. That's really cool. Man. Someone give this guy $200 million.
Yep.
And let's get it made. So, I took a bit of a different tact on it. So what I'm going to do is start with the developer. I had two in mind, and I think I've decided on who I want to go with. One was a Western studio, and one was a Japanese studio. And I think I've landed on the Japanese studio, but I'll explain why. So the studio is I don't even know. RGG. The developers behind Yakuza, Like a Dragon, and the new game Stranger Than Heaven, right? So what I've pitched this game being is a third-person action game with Metroidvania elements. So it's all going to be set on a planet that you crash land on. And gameplay-wise, it is somewhat of a solo experience of building a team. And think Jedi Survivor.
Okay.
Cross Metroid Prime in terms of getting powers and unlocking routes onto this planet. And the story, or the premise, is... So the title of the game is Lost Through Space, A Power Rangers Legacy.
Ooh,
Now, I'm going with a brand new team. Brand new story. With some of the tropes and connections to the old series. So this will be a more mature story. But the reason I landed with RGG Studios is I think the handling of the seriousness of it still needs to have that flavor of kind of cheese. Not
Yeah, of course.
no like Krispy Kreme levels of cheese that was found in the movie,
No
but
2017 cheese.
some fun, right? This character's landed on this planet. There's other aliens on this planet. Like there might be some lighthearted moments between those creatures or whatever on this planet. Okay, so again, third person action game cross between Jedi Fallen Survivor or the Jedi series, Metroid Prime, in terms of exploration. But as for the game itself, Lost Through Space, a Power Rangers Legacy. Lost to space and time, play as a lone Astro Ranger on the run after the defeat of his team of 3 5 years ago. After being on the run, I haven't got a name for the character yet. We'll just call him Joshua. Joshua crash lands on planet something, a once thought uninhabited planet. After stumbling on a sanctuary left by the elders of Eltar long ago, Joshua must reclaim the lost powers, assemble his new team of rangers, and prepare to take on the blah blah blah. So,
I like it.
What I kind of saw this being is very much, you think of the early God of War games, right? Where God of War 2, perfect example. You start up, you're on Olympus, you come down, you're juiced up, you're the God of War, and throughout the first stage you get a glimpse of the true power that is there, but then that all starts getting taken away from you, right? And then you fall down to Hades and you kind of climb up. I want that similar feeling. So I think the game will begin as the Red Ranger has lost his team on the run and crash lands onto this planet. Now, it's taking inspiration from the in space kind of. That's my favorite season. Hence, he was the Astro Ranger, and the team was the Astro Rangers, right? Crash lands on this planet. I want to tie it into the comics in terms of like Zordon's history and Eltar and the Eltarians and that kind of lore. So what I'm kind of thinking is that they had a Zordon at some point, very similar to In Space, where he hid the Mega Voyager kind of on the moon.
Yeah.
And it's like, there will be a time where the team will stumble on this thing. I want him to have trained on this planet. This is the planet that Zordon trained on, right?
Okay, that's cool.
And he's got sanctuaries across the planet in different locations where he learnt to become the Zordon that he eventually becomes. So it's set within the universe of, I think, the Power Rangers lore, but is very much separate. So what I want this story to be is basically this character, Joshua, crash landing and having to discover those lost powers and kind of retrace Zordon's steps to unlock the power that they need or he needs to take on this threat and kind of take revenge on the team, take revenge because your team's basically being killed or destroyed, as they like to say in Power Rangers lore.
Yeah, of course.
I do want him to, very similar to the Andros and In Space team, kind of him starting off as him not wanting to be part of a team because of the losses, but ultimately learns to, come to peace with what happened and basically will form a new team of 3 Rangers. It's a 3-Ranger team, discovering these lost powers. The way I kind of see it playing out is throughout the game, you come across people, or not necessarily humans either. There might be kind of aliens, but human-like type people that you recruit kind of as on this journey, and you interact with them on your ship. The ship kind of acts as your hub, and you're moving across the planet. And throughout the game, there are going to be enemies, of course, bosses, and that although this is going to be primarily you play as the one ranger, there will be opportunities through side missions to play as the other rangers that you recruit. So
okay, yeah,
they will all have their own journey, their own reasons for joining on the ship, and also reasons to want to save the planet that they found themselves on. So the people I think he recruits are people that have been on the planet for a long time, fall in love with the people there, and want to defend it. And meanwhile, you know, this villain, whoever kind of defeated your first team, is descending on the planet and causing all this havoc. Like I said, the special sauce, I want it to be that Japanese flavor, but mixed with that mature storytelling. Now, the hook is a combination of what RGG studios have done in their past. Yakuza, for those playing at home, originally started as a third-person action game, then moved turn-based. And then they split the series between Like a Dragon and Yakuza, which Like the Dragon is the name of Yakuza in Japan. But what they've done is basically split it out. Like a Dragon is now your turn-based game, and then Yakuza is or is it the other way around? But they've split the two. So what I want is these Megazord battles, or these... They're not necessarily called Megazords in this world, but they're the battles to kind of be what we're calling turn-based in motion. So I don't want it... What I mean by that is these boss battles will be grand. They'll be big. Think Final Fantasy 16 type fights. Yeah. Turn-based. It will go to turn-based for the Megazord fights. But the hook is turn-based in motion. And what I mean by that, it isn't going to be two characters standing idle and attacking. It's going to play out nearly like a cutscene in motion. And you're...
So about like QuickTime events, I'm kind of feeling?
Think what
like
you
Asura's Wrath?
What you would think Asura's Wrath in terms of QuickTime, but is still going to be turn-based. So what I mean by that is the characters aren't idle while you're not doing anything. So there may be the characters fighting, but the damage done to the characters or the boss versus you doesn't actually occur unless you initiate a move type thing.
Okay, yeah.
So, but I want it to be very cinematic. So I think of the Titan fight from Final Fantasy 16 where he's kind of running, you know, and you're running up fighting, and like that's playing out. You can't really do much about it. You're kind of dodging things and then you're attacking. So that I want something like that where it's moving. You might be like chasing or whatever, and you're initiating these fights in a turn-based model. ATB focused, so it's not going to be my turn, your turn. There's going to be a timer, so if you don't interact, you will lose. So very Final Fantasy 7 old school type of approach, but modernized. And I think the hook of modern storytelling, you know, AAA kind of Power Rangers game with this really cool twist on turn-based for the boss battles that escalate to that, I think could be really cool. But that's everything I've got.
That's awesome. I'd definitely play that game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I think, I don't know, something with the space era of the Rangers that we know. So cool. Anything and anything really in space, you've kind of already hooked me a little bit. It's always like, oh, that's interesting. And I think it's why Metroid really always came to, especially Prime. Why Metroid Prime, I always found like, oh yeah, this game looks amazing, or it feels so... It's just something that adds that point of futuristic where it feels like it's not here anymore, or like it never will be here. And, you know, it's something you never get to experience being out of space. It's not everyday life. So, but the sense of trust and that relationship building, I feel like is very important with Power Rangers. So you've kind of really nailed that with having your Red Ranger, you know, not trusting anyone at the start and being a solo, but then having the opportunity for the character development for the side missions for the, you know, he may be. I assume blue and yellow because that's the standard.
Yeah. I didn't really think beyond the red. You know, couldn't dedicate my life to building this game out. But yeah, something like that. I was kind of seeing the Dino Fury color scheme. The Dino Fury, the red, yellow, and
Jungle Fury.
No. What's the one with the
Dino Thunder?
Dino Thunder. Yeah. But I just love the idea of like retracing Zordon steps. I just think that's really cool.
Yeah, and to anyone whoever wants to read the comics, they are fantastic. Like they're like the world building in those comics are based off a 90s TV show, based off a Japanese show that just has to be written for the sake of writing something, just so the American actors would have something to do.
Yeah.
But the lore that's come out of that God damn, it's so good.
It's cool because it's just, I think Power Rangers was always cooler in everyone's heads, but you
Yeah.
could, like we were kids, so you could do that. So then these people that grew up with these stories that they used to create based off the toys in the show could like tell proper stories now, right?
Yeah.
Because there is something cool, there is something uniquely cool and cheesy about Power Rangers. Like, the movie from 2017?
17.
I really liked. I actually liked up until the Power Ranger part. Once
Yeah.
they morphed and it just lost the groundedness that I really enjoyed. As much as I think a criticism of that movie was there wasn't enough Power Rangers in it, which I agree, it just, that portion wasn't handled properly.
I agree.
I could get past the suit designs. I really like the lore stuff of Rita being the original Green Ranger and betraying the team and killing the team. That's where I took a lot of inspiration of, like, lost Red Ranger, teams being defeated, crash land on this planet. Like, I thought about those opening moments of the movie. But then it just fell off a cliff. Like, they really set Rita up to be scary in the early parts. Like, she's, like, taking down people like a mummy type creature.
Yeah.
And then by the end, she's eating Krispy Kreme. Like, it just...
It's,
that was the biggest fault. That, Goldar being literally gold and not being a character.
Yep. The Megazord just looked too... it didn't look good. It didn't look put together. It sounds really dumb, but if something that was put together, it wasn't put together.
No.
Like they made the
Massanoma
dinosaurs look. Yeah, they made the dinosaurs look more alien than what they should have been because it was a hybrid. Because why would they be alien based if they were also dinosaur based? You know what I mean?
Just pick a lane. Yeah.
Yeah, and everything was trying to look too futuristic and sleek and not. It had no charm. Like, the charming part was the characters and their kind of Breakfast Club way of a bunch of misfits getting together.
Yeah.
Teenagers with attitude.
It all worked. Like, up until they morphed. Like, even the morphing sequence was cool. Like, it was just, as soon as they burst out of that water and it's that putty fight.
Yeah.
It's like they made that all the movie and then they're like, oh shit, like, this is Power Rangers. It needs to be cheesy. And that's the thing that I think has let this franchise down for so long is there's more. It's not just that. And it's not even that. I think for the people who like Power Rangers, they don't even think it's cheesy. It's cool. But to everyone else, it's cheesy. So they just think those other people that are making it like, oh, it's cheesy. That's what people like. But it's like, no. In our headcanon, Goldar's cool,
Yeah, Goldar is menacing.
Yeah, not what that was, but
Yeah, Goldar sounds evil. He's got that raspy voice.
Yeah,
he's a giant flying monkey. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, giant gold monkey.
They just, all that movie needed was just that shit taken out of it. Keep the groundedness that they had throughout the whole movie and just keep that. It doesn't need to disappear. We understand it's cheesy because it's 5 kids turning into colored heroes. It doesn't need to be like,
yeah,
here's the literal plates of cheese. Like, we get it. It is cheesy by its nature. That's what's cool about it.
Yeah. The Avengers, you think about this, the Avengers is actually pretty cheesy too.
Yeah.
Like,
there's a guy wearing a American flag on, for God's sake. Like,
yeah, and they just do cheesy one-liners sometimes and make dumb jokes.
Exactly.
Power Rangers did it first.
Exactly. Very ahead of its time.
It's very ahead of its time.
Yeah, so that was really it. From the Western studio that I had as my reserve was Respawn, who obviously made the Jedi games. But I just felt I couldn't make the Megazord stuff make sense. Okay. With that, I think it needs that Eastern flavor.
Yeah, I think so too. Which is, it's funny that we both went to an Eastern studio.
Even though Power Rangers is very American in terms of what people perceive Power Rangers to be.
Yeah, but it's based on a Japanese show, so it's got that Japanese flair already built into it.
Yeah, it's just it was like they took it and they just put a little dress over it. I'm like, you can't see this. And a little hat.
No, you can't see.
Yeah.
But if you watch closely now, like looking back and watching random episodes now, I'll see, the Jew Ranger, logo somewhere, or I'll see signs that have Japanese characters and stuff like that. So it's funny looking back as an adult and thinking like, how did I miss this as a kid?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Well,
and how
but
cool you could tell. Like, I remember in space, like, the fights transitioning into Japanese footage. And it's like, there's the budget. And it's like the sparks and the explosions and all that. Like, that's what people don't get. Back then, that was cool for a kid's show.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. So we didn't see the cheese. Like, we didn't see the, Andrews, like, floating the cup of thing. Like, that stuff we didn't see. But I think for everyone else, that's what they thought it all was. It was like the, hey-ya. Like, but it's not necessarily that. That's part of it. It's the sprinkling. But when people who don't know the brand of the series make that its whole identity, I think that's when it just
morphin' time.
It loses it.
Yeah. So that was your first concept and only concept you ran with? Did you have any other ideas that came to mind when it came to designing a Power Rangers game? Like,
yeah, I had one other
adventure.
No, the other one was a full-on metaphor. But I just felt that given we just spoke about Expedition 33, I'm like, it's probably just on my mind. But I could totally see a 3-team Atlas inspired. It just you can picture it. Your summons are your Megazords, your menus, the gun holster out. Like it's all there. But I just thought it's probably on my mind. But I also think that could work. Lower budget, kind of, 30-hour, nothing, not like a metaphor. I don't think it needs the time system. But maybe more like Final Fantasy 13, where it's kind of linear, turn-based. But yeah. What else? What else did you want to...
No, I had like a little idea for... My other idea was going to be a Metroidvania style.
Yep. 2D kind of. Yep.
2D style, but instead of getting upgrades, you recruit the other rangers or find the other rangers. So you'd be scattered. You'd have a big...
Across the
fight.
grid.
Yeah, not really across the grid, but you'd be a big fight. You would then... The Megazord would like obviously be destroyed. You would then fly to different corners of this part and you'd have to kind of make your way back, and you'd encounter, your putties as your foot soldiers, or like this one would be I'm just using MMPR for reference because that's what people know, but this would be a new team. I was thinking man-made powers because I always thought that they were super interesting, kind of like light speed,
yeah,
or time force, but it would be you start off as... I always want to say the Blue Ranger because it'd be cool, interesting to not start off with the leader. So, and the leader always is sure of himself, knows what to do, where to go, all that stuff. So you're kind of running around a little bit confused as someone who's not the leader, and then you encounter the leader, and then kind of you take over. But yeah, so being able to go through different access points would be designed based on what weapons your other rangers you recruited have, and you just swap them in and out quickly.
Yeah.
So if you need to like break something, you needed like a certain weapon that only the yellow ranger had, kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you just quickly...
That's cool.
So definitely had that Metroid Dread vibe.
Yeah. I could definitely see that as well. I think that would probably make the most like realistic sense in terms of what would get made. Like a 2.5D or 2D Metroidvania. I'd play it. I'd be all over it.
Yeah, I'd be all over it too. If it was anything the quality of even The Lost Crown. The Lost Crown was good. It was just too long.
The Lost Crown. Prince of Persia. Yeah.
The Lost Crown was good, but it was just too damn long.
Yeah, those games don't need to be 20 hours. Like 10 hours, 12 hours max. Like,
yeah.
But anyway,
give me the script. I'll make it.
We'll do
it.
The
Money.
All right, Bandai Namco and Sega, you know where to find us.
That's it, right here.
Come and find us. As we wrap up, I just want to read something that I just found online that is a little heartbreaking. According to known leaker, the development of Final Fantasy IX Remake is in reportedly trouble. We are also hearing rumors about a possible cancellation. Spotted on gaming leaks and rumors, Nate the Hate, which is the guy, I believe he's Australian actually, but he's a credible leaker on Reset Area. The leaker revealed that last he checked, the remake was still in development. However, he needs to do a fresh check to learn more about the current status. Nate added that a month ago he did hear Final Fantasy IX Remake was, in quote, in trouble and, in quote, possibly cancelled. However, he had only heard one source claiming the cancellation and will have to do further investigation to confirm. Regardless, the fact that Final Fantasy IX is in trouble will not go down well with fans.
Yeah, look, so Square did their, what was it, 2 months ago now? 3 months ago, where they had their meeting and they scrapped a whole bunch of games.
Yes, yeah.
So, and they said they were going to, rejig their budget and, focus more on their
quality,
franchises,
not quantity, and focus on franchises, multi-platform.
Yeah. So, and that's when the Kingdom Hearts mobile game got cancelled after 4 years in development or something like that, even longer. And then we got random screenshots of Kingdom Hearts 4. So that's for the first time in 1,000 days, it was something like that we got Kingdom Hearts 4 news, and they just randomly dropped 4 screenshots, and you're like, what the fuck happened?
They really just got to, like, I was watching this guy talk about Expedition, and he was talking about Final Fantasy, and he's kind of like, the issue that Final Fantasy has is that the fans of one game aren't necessarily fans of the other. So there's no, like, linear, like, the next one I'm automatically going to be all over because it could be an MMO, it could be whatever. I would, if I was Square, it's going to sound like pitchforks type thing, scrap the name, like the number, and maybe just have sub-series.
Ooh, interesting.
And it's like Final Fantasy, blah, 1, 2, 3, blah, and then these sub-series indicate the style of game that you're getting. And maybe they have a sub-series that are turn-based, that are cheaper to develop, coming out more frequently, and maybe every 5-6 years you get a sub-series blah, which is like their big next thing. Because I think people still think because they're numbered that they're like,
Continuation.
Yeah, which we know they aren't, but I'm sure there's people who don't know that is the case and see 16 and go, whoa, I haven't played the first 15. And I also think it just gives like Final Fantasy still is a seller. The name still means something, but why don't we just have 2 series running at the same time? One is turn-based, smaller budget, play to Square strengths, and the other is these new types of games that could be changing. It could be an action RPG, it could be whatever. But have that be the focus, and it's like a clear identity of like, what you're getting when you see this sub name.
Yeah, I think the whole once a generation is not a good sustainable business for the Final Fantasy franchise.
No.
It's just too long. I'd like to see
we are getting the remake games too, which are from them.
True.
So there is more than...
Yeah.
But I get what you're saying. You're saying like the numbered 16 type thing. That's the only new one. I get what you mean.
Yeah, and like the amount of time and effort gets put into these games, and they, like, you just can't deliver. Like, the longer the game takes to develop, actually, the harder it is for it to live up to its expectations.
Yeah.
So, I'd love to see a quote unquote like a really good, like a high tier AA Final Fantasy game. Where you could, where it'd come out every 2 years. I don't care if it reuses assets, but as long as the quality of the game is polished, you know what I mean? Like a good story, but a shorter story, more condensed, but more.
Even if it was 4 years, and you had the big one every 6 years. So then it only felt like and then under that you had a remake, like a 1-for-1 remake, where it's not like maybe add, voices or whatever, but it's still Final Fantasy 9 as it was, just with English voice actors or Japanese voice actors and updated graphics.
Well,
That's coming out every 3 years. You know what I mean? Like kind of what Capcom does, where it's like Resident Evil blah 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 remake, and then the new one, and then remake.
Capcom have a good formula for how they do everything. Like they're whether it's the Resident Evils, they got the Monster Hunters going. Like they have a good system of how they can handle their IP like really really well. And I just feel like Square needs to learn from that, because they chased the mobile game.
Yeah.
There was, I think, 2 or 3 Final Fantasy mobile games going on at once. There was the 7. It was like the Final Fantasy 7 version.
There's
of
2
the
Final
mobile.
Fantasy 7 games, right? There was the
It's like a redefinition of Final Fantasy 7, the actual game.
That's still going. And that's called Forever Crisis.
Ever Crisis. Yeah, Ever Crisis.
Which is apparently really good. Funny enough.
Yeah, it's apparently like the optimal way to play Final Fantasy 7.
Yeah. And you're learning about Sephiroth's backstory. There was the MMO, the shooter one.
The shooter MMO.
Which they cancelled.
Yeah, and then there was another one which they cancelled. And then there was apparently they've had something like, I think close to like 8 or 9 mobile games that have been cancelled in the last like 6 or 7 years.
Yeah.
Don't fact check me on that one, but I know it's been a lot.
Yeah.
So when people are wondering, and they've all made money, but they also haven't done anything they haven't helped the studio in the long run, I feel like.
They needed to launch, I don't think I think there is something to still having a PlayStation exclusive tied to it, but also come to PC day and date. Like really, like this is all due respect to Xbox. There's likely 30 million Xboxes out there. Say the game sells 1 million copies, 2 million copies, whatever. I think you get more value from the Sony marketing beast, but you need to be there on PC.
Yeah.
Or be on all platforms, but you need to be day and date. If you're going to do it, you need to be day and date. And Capcom have that right formula of, they've got the smaller scale games as well, right? Like you think of Path of the Goddess, then you've got Resident Evil going, then you got Monster Hunter going. Like Square Enix could do that very, not easily, but they've got the franchises and the teams and the money to do it.
Yeah.
It just doesn't need to be Final Fantasy 16. I think it's a great game. But it didn't need to be that AAA. It's great that we got it, and I think it's like still probably one of the best exclusives in terms of like generation exclusives, not like on the one piece of hardware. But it didn't need to go that hard, I think, personally.
Yeah. Well, we got what do we got? We got Dragon Quest as a franchise.
That's in
Square,
development problem. Yeah, that's been in long development.
Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
Kingdom Hearts. There was Star Ocean at one point.
Yeah.
What else is there?
They've got all their like JRPG series that we just probably don't know too much about. But like Bravely Default, they've got like all the
Chrono Trigger.
Octopath.
Where's a Chrono Trigger remake?
Yeah, Octopath Traveler, like those were quite popular. But that's what I mean. Like that's all it needs to be. Make the Octopath games, make them a Final Fantasy sub-series. 2D, 3D, make them, right?
Yeah, because really,
it
didn't need to be called
Octopath Traveler. It could have just been Final Fantasy, whatever, and then those are happening. Then you do 1-for-1 remakes. Then you have your 7 series going. Then you have the next one happening. And you've got the teams to do it.
Yeah.
But then again, who are we? So...
Who are we? We're just people. We're just the common man who are more in touch with what people want, I guess.
Man with a mic, just like millions of other pundits. Yeah.
We're podcasts, point of difference casters.
Well, I think that was a successful Another fantastic episode of Dodge, Parry, and Roll. Now, remember, we are on YouTube fortnightly, pending any disease or sicknesses that may occur. Vinny's got it out of his system. I might be next, but so far, so good. But it's coming. It's coming.
Oh, yeah.
As we wrap things up, Vinny, anything you wanted to say before we close the show?
I mean, always a pleasure working with you, Josh. Love it. Always here for it. Catch up soon.
Yes. In real life. IRL.
Yes. And do I say it? Fitting for the episode? May the power protect you.
Goodbye. See you in a fortnight.